All right, today we're going to do something a little different. We're stepping inside an ancient poem, Psalm 16. But we're not just going to read it, we're going to build it piece by piece inside our minds, turning it into a story of hope that's so vivid you won't be able to forget it. Let's dive in. So you might be thinking, unshakable hope from an old poem? And look, that's a fair question. In a world that feels pretty shaky a lot of the time, we all need something solid to hang on to. Well, Psalm 16 makes a pretty bold claim that it offers exactly that. So how can these words from thousands of years ago actually give you real hope for your life right now? Let's find out. Okay, so every journey has to start somewhere, and ours begins by laying a foundation. We're calling this part the anchor of trust. This is where it all kicks off, not with some quiet statement of belief, but with a raw, confident, and almost desperate cry for help. Let's start with verse 1. I want you to picture this. Imagine you're sprinting through a blinding storm. The wind is howling, rain is coming down sideways, you can barely see. But then, up ahead, you spot it, a massive, ancient fortress. With everything you have left, you run for it. The huge doors swing open just for you, and as you fall inside, they slam shut behind you. And suddenly, there's just silence. The storm is still raging outside, but in here, you're totally safe. That feeling, that desperate run to the one and only safe place, that's verse 1. Now, in verse 2, something really interesting happens. The psalmist isn't talking to God anymore. He's talking to himself. Picture him inside that fortress, catching his breath. He looks inward and speaks right to his own soul, his deepest self, and reminds it of a decision it already made. Hey, you, remember? You said, "You are my Lord." It's this powerful moment of saying, listen, any good thing in me, any strength I have, it doesn't come from me. It all flows from the one who just slammed that gate shut. So in verse 3, the camera kind of pans out. Imagine our guy looking out a high window in the fortress. He's not looking at the storm anymore. He's looking down into this amazing courtyard, and it's filled with people, all kinds of people from all walks of life. And they're not just milling around, there's this vibrant energy. They're helping each other, laughing. They have this quiet strength. He doesn't see a bunch of flawed people, he sees heroes, the excellent ones, and he feels this incredible joy and honor just to be one of them. These are his people. And then, bam, verse 4 gives us this stark contrast. Now I want you to picture the dark, foggy street outside the fortress walls. You can see these frantic figures just chasing shadows, empty promises that flicker and vanish. And the more they run, the more they chase, the heavier their sorrows get, like chains piling up. The psalmist sees this frantic, pointless race for what it is, a dead end. And he makes a hard decision. I'm not going there. I won't participate. I'm not even going to say the names of those false promises out loud. So you see what's being set up in these first few verses, right? It's a crystal clear choice between two paths, two completely different ways to live. On one side, you've got the path of trust, which leads to delight, real community, and life. And on the other side, you've got the path of chasing other things, which only leads to more sorrow, ruin, and being forgotten. A choice has to be made. All right, so the choice is made. He's inside the fortress with his people. Now our journey moves into the next phase. What does he get from making that choice? He starts to describe this incredible security, this reward. And it's not about money. He's wealthy in a way you can't even measure. Let's picture it for verse 5. We're at a huge royal feast. There's food and wine everywhere. But our guy is at the main table. The king doesn't just pass him a plate. No, the king gets up, walks over, and personally hands him two things, a glowing golden cup and a rolled-up deed to a beautiful piece of land. But here's the secret. The cup and the land aren't the real prize. God himself is the inheritance. He's the reward. And the fact that the king is holding it means no one can ever take it away. And now in verse 6, we get to see that inheritance. Imagine him walking the boundary lines of that property from the deed. This isn't some dusty, empty lot. Sunlight is streaming through the trees. You can hear a gentle stream burbling nearby. There's this overwhelming sense of peace, of belonging. He just breathes it all in and thinks, wow, this is for me. This beautiful, safe place is mine. Then the scene shifts. It's nighttime. Verse 7. You know how the middle of the night can be when all your anxieties just get louder? Well, for him, it's the opposite. He's resting peacefully. And in the quiet and the dark, it's not a voice of fear that speaks to him. It's a calm, wise counsel that seems to come from deep inside him, giving him clarity and direction for the next day. That inner guidance, that's part of the inheritance too. Okay, verse 8 gives us one of the most powerful images in this entire psalm. Picture him now, standing right on the edge of a rocky cliff. A furious ocean is just crashing against the rocks below, sending spray way up into the air. Anyone else would be terrified, they'd be swept away. But he is completely unmovable. He doesn't even flinch. Why? Because standing right there beside him at his right hand is this unseen but unbelievably powerful ally, anchoring him to the spot. He literally cannot be moved. And that brings us to the final act of our journey. This is where it all culminates. All the confidence, all the security that's been built up in the present is now aimed at the future, to face down the one great fear we all have to deal with: death itself. So in verse 9, we see the result of all this. And it's not just a state of mind, it's a full-body experience. You can almost feel it. His heart feels light, joyful. His very spirit seems to be glowing. And his body, his physical self, can finally, truly relax. It can rest, not in fear of what's coming, but in a solid, concrete hope. Verse 10, this is the absolute peak. Picture a vast, dark, shadowy underworld. The Bible calls it Sheol. It's the place of the dead. A soul is descending into that darkness. It seems like it's over. But just then, a powerful, brilliant hand of light reaches down from above. It doesn't just pat the soul on the back, it grabs hold and lifts it completely out, preserving it from any hint of decay. This is the ultimate promise. Death does not get the final word. In the very last verse, verse 11, it's like the map to the final destination. It's laid out in 3 simple steps. First, God himself shows you the path to real life. You don't have to wander around guessing. Second, as you walk that path, you walk right into his presence. And that brings a fullness of joy, not just a little happiness. And third, at his right hand, that same place of power and safety, there are pleasures that don't fade away. They last forever. So there you have it. We've journeyed all the way from a desperate run for safety in a storm to the ultimate promise of eternal joy. This psalm lays out the entire path, from trust to inheritance, all the way to a hope that conquers even death, which really leaves us with just one final crucial question to think about. If this is the path, where does your journey begin?